Well, economic growth in sub-Saharan Africa is rebounding in 2017 after registering the worst decline in more than 20 years in 2016. Now, the new Africa Pulse, a biannual analysis of the state of African economies conducted by the World Bank, says the region is showing signs of recovery and regional growth. An American multinational professional services firm, B360, is among the entities that are working to spur growth and development across Africa. Now, to discuss the situation, I'm joined by Peter Karenge. He's the CEO of B360. Welcome to Africa 54, Peter.
Thank you, Vincent.
So start by briefly just telling us what is B360 and what you do.
Thank you very much, Vincent. So B360, we are a multinational professional firm that offers services, including engineering, architectural, construction, and consulting services in various areas. These areas include real estate, infrastructure, energy, and health. We have professionals in at least 10 cities in Africa and also in the United States. In the US, you'll find us here in DC, where we are headquartered, in New York, in Maryland, and Virginia. In Africa, you'll find us in Botswana, in Kenya, in Liberia, and in Egypt and Sudan.
Now, there are so many other people out there doing many things across all those countries you just mentioned. What makes you stand out? What's different about B360?
What makes us stand out is definitely not just our understanding of the US-Africa space, but also the fact that we are very passionate about developing solutions, creative solutions that empower communities, solutions that power growth in a huge way.
Yeah, you kind of, you and some like, of like mind like you, Africans tend to say that there is need to have kind of African solutions to certain specific African problems. What is the difference? I mean, people say poverty is poverty anywhere. What is the difference in having some specific understanding about specific situation and a different solution?
Thank you. Key is, yes, you have the issues that definitely are befalling Africa. You have issues of political instability in some parts of Africa. You have the stories of malaria. You do have the stories of HIV. But where we stand out is telling the other story of Africa, the story of an Africa that's on the move, the story of an Africa that is working to develop solutions, the story of an Africa that is leapfrogging other technologies, using various technologies like the M-Pesa in Kenya. So it's definitely been able to tell that other side of the story. Then also it's an issue of working with other entities, especially here in the United States and in the US-Africa space, to figure out what are the ways that the US can enable Africans to provide African solutions to African problems.
Some have observed that if Africans got their act together, Africa could sprint to greatest economic development ever if you eliminate corruption, if you have stability and, kind of remove politics from development. When you talk to African leaders, do they seem to get a sense of this, or are they so detached that they're more concerned about their own, ambitions as politicians and business people?
Most definitely, most of the African leaders I've talked to do really understand the cancer that corruption is. Leaders like President Uhuru Kenyatta, they do understand that, and they are working really hard to eliminate corruption. But also we need to understand that corruption is everywhere, even in the United States.
The difference is sometimes I say is that in the United States there's corruption, yes, but we find in some of these poorer countries, people are literally taking away all the money that the government is supposed to be using to help even the poorest people in society.
That's true.
How do you, what do you do about that? How do you help such countries develop?
It's on a couple of levels. First, also is just understanding the background. As I said, yes, there is that story of the corruption, but there's also the other story where these leaders are working hard to eliminate corruption. But then there's also the other story of what Africa is all about. It's an Africa that has, the cultures are a bit different. It's the ways of doing business in Africa. And it's being able to work with the agencies over here. And also countries in the West enabling and realizing that they can enable Africans to get rid of that.
And we hope for the best, that everybody will actually have the focus to really develop Africa. And thank you very much for joining us today and sharing your experiences with us.
Thank you.
Well, Peter Karenge is the CEO of B360.